let me show you the difference between a double bubble map and a Venn diagram. So here's a little example. You can see you've got the Venn diagram on top, you've got your differences on the outside, and then you've got your similarities on the inside. It is very similar. Below is your double bubble map. Same thing, you've got your the two topics in the center. So this is comparing the superhero and the villain. You've got their differences in blue and in red. And then you've got your similarities, so that's your comparing in the center. What we really want to make sure that we focus on is when we are comparing, which is what they have in common, and contrasting, which is what they don't have in common, that we're making sure that we stay on topic. We're not just putting random similarities and differences down. So I'm going to show you how we make sure that we do that today. All right, so let's take a look. I've got a quick article, which I'm also going to scan, and you will have that in your notes page on Google Classroom, so if you want to read more about her. But I've got this article called Fly High, Bessie Coleman. I'm not going to read the entire article today for the sake of time, but I am going to give you a brief introduction about Bessie Coleman, and we are going to read a little bit about her. So here is our introduction, paragraph 1. 2,000 people sat with their faces turned into the sky. High above the airfield, a pilot had just finished carving a crisp figure 8 in the air. Suddenly, the plane seemed to stumble, twisting and turning. It began to fall from the sky. The crowd watched in horror. Had something happened to the pilot? But the woman in the cockpit of the plane on October 15th, 1922, was in perfect control. Only 200 feet above the ground, she straightened out the tumbling aircraft and soared back into the sky. By the time she landed her plane, the crowd was on its feet, roaring with delight. Everyone cheered for Bessie Coleman, the first licensed black pilot in the world. And here is a great photograph of her. So she was the first African-American pilot, which was a big deal. Not only was she one of the first female pilots, but the first African-American pilot. So you can read more about her. I am going to go to the last part of this article, and I'm actually going to read about her death, because we are going to compare her and Amelia Earhart and the downfall of their career. So that spring, Bessie Coleman was invited to perform in Jacksonville, Florida. Early on the morning of April 30th, 1926, Coleman and another pilot took off for a short flight around the air show field. At first, everything went smoothly. Then a wrench that had been lying loose in the plane slid into the control gears, jamming them. Suddenly, the plane flipped upside down. Coleman had not strapped herself in, and she fell. Moments later, the plane crashed, killing the other pilot. At 34, Bessie Coleman was dead, but her dreams survived. In 1929, 3 years after her death, the Bessie Coleman Aero Clubs were formed. The clubs encouraged and trained African-American pilots just like Coleman had hoped to do. In 1931, the club sponsored the first all-African-American air show. Bessie Coleman would have been proud. All right, so that is the first person that we are going to have, and I'm just going to put her right here. So that is Bessie Coleman. All right, and now we are going to read a quick article that happens to be in one of your most recent scholastics. And you are going to get the link to this scholastic, and you're going to be able to read more about it and to read the entire portion. All right, I'm going to have to zoom out. Okay. So this, ironically, is What Happened to Amelia Earhart. I'm going to read it aloud, but like I said, you'll be able to click on the link and you can read the entire magazine. In 1937, pilot Amelia Earhart was on a mission to become the first woman to fly around the world. About 2/3 of the way through her trip, she vanished and was never heard from again. The U.S. Navy Coast Guard searched the Pacific Ocean for weeks, but they never found Earhart or her plane. We asked 2 experts what they think happened, and I'm going to let you read. One thinks she landed on an island, and the other thinks she crashed into the ocean, and it gives their reasons why. So this is the debate of the week, and you're going to get to read more about that. But we've got our information, and now we're going to take it a step further and do our compare and contrast. So now I'm going to write over here, Amelia Earhart. And I'm sure a lot of you have heard of Amelia Earhart, but I had not heard of Bessie Coleman until I read this article. So let's start with our comparisons, our similarities first. So we know that and I'm going to do that in green. So they were both female pilots. All right, and they both became famous for their career. So they were famous in their career. And then unfortunately, they both crashed flying. All right, so we've got female, they were both female pilots. They were famous because of their career, and they both unfortunately crashed flying. As you can see, the lines link both of these together. So these are our comparisons, what they have in common. All right, so now I'm going to come on over here with my blue about Bessie Coleman, and I am going to give my first fact about her. It did say that her mission in 1926, when she was flying in the Florida Air Show, was when she actually, when the accident happened. So we're going to say 1926 accident. And I'm going to come over to Amelia Earhart, and I'm going to stay on topic. So her accident was in 1926, and Amelia's accident was in 1937. So we're going to say her 1937 mission was when things did not go well. So do you see how these are, even though they are different, I'm still staying on topic. All right, so another one. Bessie Coleman, as we know, was an African-American female. All right, so I'm going to write African-American female. Please excuse my handwriting. And then I'm going to come on over to Amelia Earhart. And Amelia Earhart was Caucasian or a white female. So that is a difference. Still on topic though. And then our last contrast was, there are a lot of things that we read about them. We kind of focused more on the end when things went awry, but Bessie Coleman was in an air show in Florida. So that's when things happened. So air show in Florida. I'm going to put FL for short. And then we're going to come over and we're going to stay on topic. They didn't really say where Amelia crashed. It was somewhere in the Pacific Ocean. But she was flying around the world. So we're going to say flying around world. And I can even say Pacific Ocean if I want. All right. So now what we've just done is we have done a double bubble map of Bessie Coleman. and Amelia Earhart. I've got my contrast, my differences on the sides in blue and in red, and then I've got their similarities in the center in green. I did 3 for each. So this is just another way to show when you're comparing and contrasting something. Please look at the exit ticket on the Google document. You are going to do a double bubble map for 2 different people. So you are going to have an exit ticket for that. Look for that in the document. All right, have a great Tuesday, and I will see you guys tomorrow.